Whole sports all plays. Yeah. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, they working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Whole sports all plays.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of Loose Lugs. I'm your host, Chris Osborne. He's your host, Dustin Lewis. What's up, man? I heard you just came in from fishing. Is that what you said?
Oh, yeah. We just came back from fishing. Fished a tournament this weekend, and then just kind of relax after a whole tournament fiasco. We just went for fun fishing today.
Nice. How'd you guys place over the weekend? Pretty good?
Not real good. It was a long 4 days of fishing. We practiced for 2 days with really bad wind. I think the average wind for the past those two practice days was around 25 miles an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, it was not fun. It was hard. Day one of the tournament was not too bad. You could actually go places on day one, but day two we had a very bad south wind. It gusted up to 30 miles an hour. It's hard. Hard to be out there for a long time.
Any kind of fishing I would love to do. I don't have time for any of it right now. But, it is what it is. I had a good weekend of NASCAR. We had some good races. We had there's a lot to talk about today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go ahead and start the show off with a bang. I'm going to offend and defend Ty Gibbs here. I'm going to defend him by saying, when you get bumped the way you do and the race ends the way it did, you have a right to be upset. I get that. I feel for him. He was in a good position to get a top 3 out of that, and maybe top 2, and he didn't get it. And now I'm going to offend him because if he had paid attention or done a little digging before he got out of the car so mad, I've seen a few replays, and I still feel confident saying Sam Mayer had someone behind him pushing him into Ty Gibbs. I saw a couple bumps coming to the braking zone that may have been the reason that Sam Mayer, took off the way he did through that turn and ran through Ty Gibbs. I mean, that's the outcome is somebody hit Ty Gibbs. It was Sam Mayer. And again, I won't defend him for this either. When you get out of your car and you are mad at another driver, you take off your helmet. Period. And then he tried to defend himself after the race and say, well, he did this to me. No, he didn't. You gave him 0 time to speak. You went up, did this. Okay. Then you pushed him when he didn't get his helmet off in time or something. And then you tried to walk away after the shove. There's no defense for that. But if you're going to be the aggressor, that happens. Take your helmet off. Have a conversation. If you hear him and you don't like what he has to say, give him a fist or 2. But at least take your helmet off.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I mean, I've never understood why, if you're going to confront somebody, at least be a man about it and talk to them face to face.
Yep.
Not have this, protective helmet on just in case things go south. I mean, I don't get it.
You even see Sam Mayer, he's doing this, tell him to take off his helmet, and he wouldn't. And then he throws the punches and hits Sam Mayer a few times. Really, all of it just bothered me. And then to hear him in the post-race say, well, blah, 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 he did this. No, you got out of your car mad. You went over to him and shoved him before it even got to that. And then the Sam Mayer, the man walks behind you without touching you, without getting crazy, and you still after him. So that's on Ty Gibbs to me.
Yeah, definitely.
I hope he takes some flack for the helmet. I know he has. A lot of social media has been kind of making fun of him, poking at him. And I agree with the memes and this and that because Tony Stewart, I love Tony Stewart quotes. I go to them a lot, but Tony Stewart got onto his own driver for not taking off his helmet during an altercation. I believe it was at Bristol. I'm gonna have to look at that, but there was an instance where Clint Boyer did not take his helmet off, and he went up and tried to talk with Ryan Newman after a race. And Tony was in the booth, and Tony said, "You got to take your helmet off if you're gonna go up." But I don't know that I take my helmet off going up to Ryan Newman either. I mean, I have seen that man in person. Next to him, he is a massive dude. He is built. So anyway, other than that, I mean, the truck race was great. I don't know if you watched the truck race.
Truck race was a very fun watch.
Fun watch. Congrats to William Byron on that win. He deserved it. He had the best truck. They were really good. And then the Xfinity race. I know Ty Gibbs had a really good car. I will definitely say I think he had the best car. The best car does not often win at these places, especially Martinsville in particular. But then to see Brandon Jones get the win, I liked that. And then the aftermath. Somebody posted something that said every time Brandon Jones wins, there's a fight. Every single win of his, there's been a fight after his win. And I was like, man, that can't be true, but it really is. I looked it up myself.
Made you think for a little bit.
Yeah, it seems like an unlikely stat, but then you break it down. Okay, he has, 3 wins? All 3 races, there have been a fight, and 2 of them have been one of his teammates. Host Malone. I like that. Host Malone. I'm going to take that. That's a new one. Why, thank you, ma'am. Oh, she's talking to you. She's got to be talking to you.
I don't know about that one. I'll be talking to you.
Anyway, any thoughts on the truck race or the Xfinity race before we get to the Cup stuff?
I mean, I share the same opinion as you. They're very eventful, fun races to watch. I mean, if you want any reasons why people love Martinsville, those are 2 really good examples. They're just fun, all-out fun races to watch. Now, before we get into Cup Series stuff, this race might be some place we disagree on. Just going to throw that out there. But I want to hear what your thoughts on the Cup Series race were.
Okay.
Before I do anything.
I think Chase Elliott had the race won, and then he let the pressure of William Byron getting as close as he did, and he let his crew chief make some adjustments they thought would get him ahead, and it did the opposite. It ruined his long run, which wasn't great, but it was better than what they had after that pit stop. It ruined his long run speed. It took away his short run speed too. There's always the stigma that a driver loses the lead and the draft messes it up. I'm not buying that at 90 miles an hour. The draft is not changing the way the entire car turns with one car in front of you. I'm not buying it. I think they made an adjustment because they felt William Byron was better, and he was. And the byproduct of that move was a negative result. I mean, we didn't even look for Chase Elliott after that move. He was not a factor. Congrats to Willie B. He had the best car from, I think, the start. I think from the green flag, he was the car to beat. He had run down Chase Elliott a few times for stage 1 and stage 2 before the end of the race. But I do think he had the best car. I'm going to, Richmond, I patted my own back, and I'm paying for it now. Because none of my picks were even factors. Matter of fact, Denny Hamlin was a lap down early and was never decent. Martin Truex Jr., not even close. And then I'd also pick Tyler Reddick and Daniel Suarez, which Suarez was, I think, 6 laps down. And Tyler Reddick was there a few times, but it wasn't a factor. I think I did better in the parlay we had with which driver would be best from each team. I think I got all 4 of those. I think. I may have to recap that. I know I went William Byron, Joey Logano, but I can't remember if I did Eric Almirola or if I went Chase Briscoe, didn't I? Yeah, and I don't think Chase Briscoe was the highest finishing. I'm pretty sure that was Eric Almirola, who had, I believe, 6th place finish.
8th.
8th.
Mm-hmm. He was 1 spot ahead of Chase.
Yeah, Briscoe was there late, but he wasn't a factor in this race. And then the Penske driver, Joey Logano, was I got that one. Hey, I got one. So I was way off this weekend. That's kind of my take on the races. Good job, William Byron, in handling the bump. Joey Logano tried his best. He even said after the race, he said, I got to punt harder. I got to give him more bumper next time. So, yeah. What about you? Tell me. Tell me what happened.
Just going to be extremely honest. I watched this race as much as I could. We didn't have TV in the hotel room. I think that something was wrong with the cable, but I watched this from my phone. And I'm just going to be honest with you. William Byron did have to me, he had the best looking car. I mean, stats show it. He led 212 laps this race compared to Chase Elliott's 185. The only other 2 drivers to actually lead laps was Ryan Blaney and Austin Dillon.
Yeah.
No one else led laps. So Hendrick had a strong showing at Martinsville, but William Byron by far had the better car. And you're right. Whatever the Chase Elliott team did really messed that car up in the long run. It really hurt them. But something that hit me right after the race ended, and I got up early that morning. We were checking our boats and we were going to launch. Something clicked inside my head, and I was like, "That was not a Martinsville race we watched. It wasn't. There's no way." Because it seemed so clear. Like, when you watch the Truck Series and Xfinity Series race, you had action, you had excitement, you had a crap ton of cautions.
Yeah.
In the Truck Series and Xfinity Series race. And I'm looking at the stats right now. Excluding the stage cautions, there was only 2 cautions the entire race.
Yeah. That's crazy. There were no cautions until the final stage. 1 and 2 went the distance, and Chase Elliott. I'm trying to decide when. I don't remember Austin Dillon or Ryan Blaney leading a single lap. Blaney did because he stayed out. So he led a few laps. But Austin Dillon, I don't remember him leading a lap.
I think it was. Let me see, trace it. But it was it was under caution.
Okay.
It was when Hamlin stalled on the front stretch. So it was probably during like a cycle of pit stops. He took the lead right when pit stops were happening.
Maybe so. I was thinking that, Hendrick between the 2 had led all but maybe 5 or 6 laps.
Well, they led every lap except for 6 of them.
6, yeah. That's crazy. That's dominance.
Straight up dominance.
And to lead 10,000 laps, Hendrick has at Martinsville, to get another win 27 at Martinsville. There's been no dominance to this scale at one track by any team anywhere. Hendrick is the winningest team in NASCAR history, which is saying a lot. Richard Petty won 200 by himself, and still they have more than Petty Enterprises. It's not just the wins, it's the different people that they've not only won 20 or more races with, but the championships. Terry Labonte, Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott. They had a chance of getting a championship a few times with Dale Jr. They just never quite cashed it. He had a really good season one year. I don't remember which year it was, but he was I mean, he was good every single race, but when the playoffs happened, he needed a win at Talladega to make it, and Joey Logano beat him back to the stripe under caution. It's one of those races where they had to go back and see the last loop. And Logano,
that was 15.
was it 15?
I remember that race. I want to say it was 2015.
If Junior won that race, I think he wins at least one more and has a shot at a championship, because it's the same year he won Martinsville, when Jeff Gordon needed it to get in the final race. But so they've just been dominant, plain and simple. And I can't find another team that's even close. I mean, Jimmy has 7 championships. Jeff Gordon has 4. Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott have the 1, but I mean, you look at where they're at right now, they have the youngest average age of a 4-car team by far. And they're defending 2-time champ. They could be looking at 3 this year, and it could be any of the 4. It could literally be any of the 4 drivers. They are the team to beat right now in every single weekend.
Yeah.
And that almost leads me into my Bristol Dirt preview, because I really want to pick a Ford because they're due another win. It's been a minute, but I don't think it's this weekend. I think you got to beat Kyle Larson this weekend.
Yeah,
I think he's going to have a race to remember.
Absolutely. Another thing to point out as well, we've had a different winner every week. William Byron is your first repeat winner of 2022.
Yeah.
With now 2 wins.
7 different winners
In the first 7 races. We come to race 8 and he secures his 2nd win of the season. I'm not saying he's going to win a championship or not, but this is a big step up for him compared to his previous seasons with Rick Hendrick. Big step up. He's already got 2 wins, and we're not even halfway through the season.
There was a season preview that I disagreed with. I'm trying to remember who put it out, but they picked William Byron to win 6+ races this year. And I was like, there's no way. There's no way. I would pick, Larson would be the guy to win 6 or more, the way things are now. But it might actually be William Byron. I'll have to go find that. And if he wins 6, give this guy props, because, I mean, I didn't think anybody would reach 5 wins this year. Plain and simple, I don't think anybody reaches 5. And we've kind of seen that with 7 different winners in 8 races now. The car is leveling the playing field, and that's what it was supposed to do.
Yep.
But now we're at a junction with a repeat winner. Does this open the floodgate for repeat winners? And now, next week Kyle Larson wins. We go to Talladega. What if it's Denny Hamlin? He's good at plate tracks. What if 7 different drivers is what we're stuck at until we get to the playoffs? I mean, it's completely unlikely. I think that the chances of us not having a repeat winner at this point is less than 1%. But what if it does?
It's
crazy to think.
Absolutely. And I was in the same head when you started talking about, that whoever predicted that William Byron would have 6 wins. I would have said no. He gets 1.
Right.
He gets 1. But now he's sitting with 2. And I mean, yeah, Atlanta, was Atlanta, and Martinsville's Martinsville. But I mean, it's 2 completely different tracks. He dominated Martinsville, leading the most laps of anybody. And then, I mean, Atlanta was, it was a plate race.
Crapshoot.
But at the same time, you still got to be in the right place at the right time to win those races. And he was up front for the majority of that race.
Yeah.
He stayed right there with everybody. So again, can't fault him for winning that race. He didn't really back into that win. He was just up front all race long.
Yeah.
I mean,
He
I'm
had
not
a
saying
good
he's going to win
race.
6 times this season, but I mean, he might get a couple more.
He might get to 5. I mean, down the stretch, you might see somebody get to 5 easily because the pressure is different, the atmosphere is different. When you hit the playoffs, if you're not a playoff driver, the only thing you're going out for is a win. You just want to spoil the show. The racing attitude is different. You're no longer looking at 40 drivers who have to get a win to get in. Now you've got about a little more than half the field that's like, screw it, I'm going to go out, get a decent finish, play some off strategy, and if I win a race, I win a race. But the pressure's not there to win. You're not doing it for a championship. It's different. So then you might see, because I don't know the statistic, I'm going to say 80% of playoff races have been won by playoff drivers. I don't know that to be true. It just seems close to accurate. I could probably do some research and find that number. But so what I'm saying is, if 80% of the wins, you factor that 8 of the 10 wins down the stretch are a playoff driver, you are going to have a repeat winner again in that instance. Going to.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like 5 wins is doable.
Yeah, I can
Maybe.
agree with that.
I mean, Kyle Larson had 10 last year.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
But I like the competition. I think this rules package that they're working with is giving guys that wouldn't normally have an opportunity to win races a chance to win. There were guys running up front this past weekend. JR picked an exciting race to drive. Yeah, I mean, he did.
Yeah, I mean,
usually he does
there's nothing else to say there. He did.
Or usually he does Richmond, I think, but I'm glad he did Martinsville this time.
It's either Richmond or Darlington. I know he did Darlington a few years ago.
I wish he would just get back in a car full time.
I wish too. I wish.
I do. I miss the heck out of him. Not going to happen though. His wife is not letting him back in a car. Miss Amy is very adamant his racing days are over.
Oh, when you suffer as many concussions he did in his career, I mean, it is a smart idea to go ahead and just hang it up.
Well, he had a good career. He had a Hall of Fame career. Some are going to disagree with that, and that's always been the case. You've always got somebody saying, "Well, he didn't win a championship." Dale Earnhardt Jr. didn't win a championship, but he won a lot of races. He was the most popular driver 16 times. Is that right?
I can
Something
check
like
that very quickly. Let's see. It's that number sounds right, but I'm going to check anyway.
It was a lot.
Fifteen times. 2003 all the way to 2017.
So, I mean, he's got a fan base. He did a lot for the sport. He continues to do a lot for the sport. He's the owner of JR Motorsports, which is, they've had 4 cars in the Xfinity series forever. And people ask the question all the time, well, when is JR Motorsports going to field a cup team? I think it's coming. I think next year is probably that year. I think a lot depends on the other teams, because right now there are no charters available. And if I know Rick Hendrick, who's going to, hang on, what'd you say? Yeah, he did, and it'll probably be Martinsville, and it'll be nice to see him.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
There are no charters available right now, and they're going for $10+ million each. And I know, if Rick Hendrick is going to dump the money, which he will, he'll have some financial distribution in this deal with Junior to move up. They probably only move 1 or 2 cars. I really think this is going to be the 2311 blueprint. They have 1 car full time. and then they push to a second car. But the other teams dictate this as well because there are small teams like the 78 car. Let's say they decide to sell their charter after this year. Well, there's one spot available. They're not going to commit dollars to getting cars in races without a charter. That's for the small teams to do. When you have the sponsors that are on the line that they'll get, you make sure your car is in the race. So I think that it really just depends. This year, if an opportunity arises to buy one or two charters, we'll see JR Motorsports move a team up. What driver would you like to see if there is a JR Motorsports team next year? One seat.
It'd probably be their eldest driver right now, probably Justin Allgaier. I think he's the most experienced one on that team to go to Cup if he wanted to.
I would say Noah Gragson. Allgaier's been there. He had a chance at Cup and he didn't do well.
No.
So I think Noah Gragson would be that guy. But it might be a situation where, they have Justin sit in the seat for so many races and Noah for so many, and then throw Sam Mayer, because we may see this year that Sam Mayer might be the best driver at JR Motorsports before the year's over. I mean, the kid's 18 years old and he's got a ton of talent. Junior handpicked him. If I understand that story correct, he ran into Sam Mayer when Sam Mayer was 15 and had already started working on getting him a deal to drive for JR Motorsports. So he's obviously grooming this kid at this point for a Cup chance. I mean, he skipped, the full-time rides in the truck series to be here. So
yeah,
he's got talent. It might be one of those deals like the 16 car this year for Colleague, where you get whoever, AJ Allmendinger, Daniel Hemrick, whoever has the best wheelhouse abilities for that track, and then you turn into a full-time ride.
Yeah. I like both. I like mine because it's, I based mine off of experience, and even though Sam Mayer's young, I can see that happening based on your reasoning. But I'm with you on the whole. They'll tap this driver to race so many races, then they'll get another guy to race a few races, and then maybe have a third driver in their wheelhouse to do a handful to get that Cup experience.
Right.
Before they just go, all right, here we go.
Full time. Here's your sponsor. Go have it.
Yeah.
So I think we're getting close to driver announcements for retirement. I feel like we're getting close. I'd say a couple weeks away. And, bold prediction, I'm still saying it's Martin Truex Jr. I think we'll know shortly after Talladega. I think that's the right time for them to make that announcement. Ty Gibbs will drive full-time next year in the Cup Series. If you doubt it, there's something wrong with you.
I'm not doubting it.
His grandfather owns the team. He has been grooming his grandson to take either Kyle Busch or Martin Truex Jr.'s seat for a few years. My initial thought was that he would drive a 2311 car for a year. I don't think so. The 45 car is sitting there. Kurt Busch is probably done after this year. I don't think he goes there. I think one of the four current drivers retires and opens that seat right on up for Ty Gibbs to hop in. There's going to be people that go against that. They say there's no way, but Joe Gibbs has done this before. He did it with Joey Logano. He did it with Eric Jones. He's doing it with Christopher Bell. He does not care about your age. If you have talent, you have talent. Period. Joey Logano is still, to my knowledge, the youngest driver to make a Cup Series start.
Yes.
I think he had just turned 18. and he was in that car. I mean, he pushed Joey right through.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no doubt when it's his own grandson, he's going to do it. And, who did Joey Lagana replace? Only Tony Stewart.
Yep.
Two-time at the time, but two-time Cup champ. So I don't think Joe Gibbs is going to mind at all if it's Martin Truex Jr., who has one championship but is not sealing the deal for a championship right now. Or maybe even Denny Hamlin. Tell Denny to go drive for your own team. Go have your own struggles, man. Something. I can see him pushing somebody aside that you wouldn't think it'd be, even Kyle Busch, to get his grandson in there.
Well, we said, I think we said it last, or we probably didn't say it on the podcast, but I remember us saying that, Kyle Busch's year so far has just been incredibly unlucky.
Bad
Season, and that we could probably see him retire a lot earlier than we think he will. I'm not saying he is going to retire. I'm still thinking like you that Truex is probably going to be the guy to say, all right, I'm hanging up, I'm done. But I mean, no one on that team right now is getting any younger. Busch isn't getting younger. Hamlin's not getting younger. Truex isn't getting any younger. It's only a matter of time before you have those three guys gone. And it'll probably be, I want to say maybe even next year, they'll probably be done. All of them gone.
I'm looking real quick to see contract, because I know Denny's got a couple years left on his 2023 and beyond for Denny. Let's look at Kyle Busch. See, his is technically up after this year. He doesn't have a contract after this year. Same thing for Truex and Christopher Bell. So they all on the last year of their deals.
Wow.
Now, Truex did sign a contract extension last year, but it's believed to only be through this season. And for Busch, I mean, it almost seems like the right timing, because he's losing M&M's as his main sponsor. They have been with him for years. I can't remember when they weren't at least on the car for 5 or 6 races. He had them as a sponsor when he was with Hendrick, and they followed him over from the 5 car. That's how long M&M's has been involved with Kyle Busch. So if M&M's is leaving, maybe he says, it's too much to try and find all these new sponsors, and it's possible. Truex, the same thing. Last year of his deal, first off, Christopher Bell last year, he's not going anywhere. Joe Gibbs believes he's the future of that team, of the drivers he has now. And I completely agree. Once you have these guys turn over the torch, pass the torch, Bell might start winning more races. He's using the 4th best car in the stable.
Yep.
You can't. It's the same thing that, the problem they were having with the 5 car at Hendrick. You have 4 cars. When they're built, which chassis is a better chassis and which engine you depend on more. Mm-hmm. When Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt Jr., when those guys were there and Casey King was in the building, if you thought Casey King got the best equipment in that shop, you don't know a thing about NASCAR.
No.
He probably got the engines that were left over from Stuart Haas buying them, if I'm being honest.
And that's the sad truth of running a big team is when you have that talent. For Hendrick, it was Johnson going on his tear. You're going to give your number one driver the best chance of going out there and winning a race. Yeah. And if you have other drivers, it's going to be like, okay, who do we give the second best equipment to? And then the third best, and then who we give the leftovers to? I mean, it's a tough decision, and it sounds sleazy, but if you're Rick Hendrick, if you're Joe Gibbs, Stewart, and Gene Haas, what else are you supposed to do? You can't make sure all the equipment's the same.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a hard one.
Absolutely.
So I just want to give a shout out, with this Martinsville race, and we'll close the page Turner Bristol. Talk about some crew chief changes. Guys that finished really well that I didn't expect to. I mean, Kurt Busch finished 6th, but there was a time when he was in the top 4 and looking like he may run down the leaders. He had a good car. And I find it ironic that the same weekend Denny Hamlin says, I don't know what's going on with 2311. Things are just not going well there. Kurt Busch finishes 6th. And of all drivers, Bubba had a good car. He finished 16th, but I mean, they showed when he was almost a lap down, he pulled away from Chase Elliott there at the end of that run. He had a good car. And then for Denny to finish, 29th, 28th, 3 laps down? Man, you better worry about your own ride. Let Michael Jordan handle that. Man. So, good for 2311 to show them. By the way, that was the highest finishing Toyota was Kurt Busch. Go figure.
Ahead of his
Eric
brother.
Almirola. Yeah. Eric Almirola finishing 8th was great because he has not had great finishes in the last few years. Chase Briscoe 9th, another good finish for Chase. And which leads me to my crew chief change that I think happens soon. Chase Elliott. And I'm going to make a good reason not to and a good reason to find him a new home. Alan Gustafson, he's a championship crew chief.
Mm-hmm.
But you've seen this before. Everyone has. When you win a title, the pressure is higher. The anticipation of you winning another championship is larger. And for Chase, I know they said he had the best overall lap time this weekend, and he won stages 1 and 2. But whatever happened at the end of stage 2, whatever changes they made were big time negative. So I feel like the notebook that Hendrick brings got them to where they were. Mm-hmm. The adjustments that Alan Gustafson made cost Chase the race. And because of that, maybe it's time for a crew chief change, because you look at all these guys winning, and they said 18 victories in total since Chase won on an oval. I mean, that's insane. 18 victories by his teammates. He has the one road course win. That was 11 races in between, but he has not been a winning car. And I'll then throw the reasons to keep him. They're still the points leader.
Mm-hmm.
As hard as it is to believe, Chase Elliott is leading the points.
Mm-hmm. He is.
But when you have the pressure of being Chase Elliott and that team and the sponsors they have, you got to get wins. You can't roll into the playoffs with no wins and expect a title. It didn't work for Denny Hamlin. It definitely didn't work for Kevin Harvick. You got to get wins. So it's fence work to me. Gustafson could go. He could stay. I'd be happy with either award, but I think it might be time to, if nothing else, why don't you trade him with the 48's crew chief, Greg Ives? Crew chief swap. Doesn't have to be permanent. Just swap them out.
Races.
Yeah, do like a 5-race stretch. Do it right after Talladega. That way it's not, one of your 5 races isn't the wild card race. And see how they do in those races. And if there's any kind of improvement, swap them back. Or if there's no improvement, swap them back. Or find a new crew chief. But Cliff Daniels is not going to get off the pit box for Kyle Larson. And I don't blame him. They're coming off a title. Mm-hmm. And Rudy Fugle, he's killing it with that whole team and William Byron. I mean, they're killing it right now. So the 2 teams that could change it up, Greg Ives, Alan Gustafson. I say swap them. What do you think?
I'm in the same camp as you. I mean, let's just be real here. Like you said, William Byron, the 2014, they're on to something. They've hit a good stride. They got 2 wins so far this season. Alex Bowman has done pretty good in a lot of these races. I mean, he won Las Vegas. But if we're just being honest, that's 1 win this season. Kyle Larson, if I was Rick Henry, you couldn't split Cliff Daniels and Kyle Larson up. They hit
No.
they had a record book season last year. I think they had in total 13 wins on top of the championship. That just doesn't happen. That takes a lot of good team chemistry and synergy to make that kind of thing happen. And that's why I think I agree with you on this. If you're going to switch crew chiefs, if it is just temporary, you switch Alex Bowman's crew chief and you switch when you replace him with Chase Elliott's crew chief. Just switch around for a few years and see what happens. If that doesn't work, switch him back and then be like, all right, y'all got to figure this out. Y'all have to, because we can't. Chase Elliott is a championship level driver, and for him to go this far into this season with no wins is a little weird.
I mean, you can go back to last year for that too. Chase was not the driver to beat down the stretch. He made it to the big race, but he was not a factor.
Mm-hmm.
Not like he was in 2020.
No, definitely not.
No.
I mean, like you said, he was in that race. So he got there. He was in the last race of the season, and he did look good for a majority of that race, but he had nowhere near the car compared to Kyle Larson, not even compared to the Toyotas. The Toyotas in the last part of that race looked great.
Yeah,
I thought we were going to
win it.
I thought they were too. And then Kyle Larson comes in and wins the race. So far, I have not seen anything to make me think Chase Elliott could go to the playoffs and maybe run the championship. Yeah, he is leading the points right now, but we're only 8 races into this season. One bad race can shift the entire point standings overnight.
Talladega.
Exactly.
Talladega. Yeah.
I was actually going to say Talladega. We could have a whole other points. We could have Bubba Wallace leading the point standings after this one. After Talladega.
Easy, biscuit.
I mean, I'm just saying it can shift overnight with one bad race, gone, and you're 10 places down. So, again, I just don't see this 9 car working out in the playoffs if they get into the playoffs. If they do happen to get a win, I just don't see see them winning a championship. I can't see it. I can see William Byron winning a championship before I ever see Chase Elliott win the championships right now.
Definitely.
And that's saying something.
Yep, I'm on board with your views there because he just doesn't look like he did in 2020. And then you can really say, okay, cool your jets. He wasn't dominant in 2020. He finished 2020 very strong. Then why didn't he finish 2021 strong?
So, another thing to bring up, Tony Stewart 2011. Tony Stewart in 2011 had a very, very bad regular season.
Yeah.
Got into the playoffs and won half of the races and won the championship on a tiebreaker because of wins.
Yeah.
We'll probably go through this regular season and be like Chase Elliott, he's not going to win. I mean, he gets into the playoffs on points alone, no wins, and then he just goes on a tear.
Yeah.
But that might be a once in a lifetime thing. We might only see that one time, and 2011 was that one time. But as of right now, us just speculating on this podcast, I do not see this 9 car unless something big happens, like a crew chief change. I don't see this season being real good for them. I see them maybe only getting 1 win, and then that's the highlight. And it might only be a super speedway win. If
right.
we're just being honest.
It might be in the playoffs. It might be the Talladega race.
Exactly.
So I agree with you completely. We got 15 minutes left. Let's hit some predictions for Bristol Dirt. By the way, this is a Sunday night race. I'm excited. Yeah, I think it's 7 Eastern.
7 p.m.
Who you got? And I want to stick with the parlay. I really enjoyed that. I don't know if I'm going to pick an outright winner. Didn't work out for me last week at all. I'll go with the parlay. Give me the 4 major teams. Who finishes best in those 4 teams?
All right. I'm going to go start with Hendrick first. I'm thinking Kyle Larson is going to be the better driver for Bristol Dirt. We started racing this track last year, and I can't remember if he finished real good last year Part of me thinks no. Let me look at that real quick.
I'm
See where he
doing that.
finished. Oh, it's not looking good. I don't see his name.
No, I think he wrecked out early.
There he is, 29th. He finished 29th. He was still running, but he was many laps down.
Yeah.
Started in the rear because of engine change.
So Lagana won that race. But it looked like Ryan Blaney was going to get the win for a long time. Okay, so you got Kyle Larson. Okay, go ahead. Who you got next? Stuart Haas.
Stuart Haas? Ooh. I'm thinking Chase Briscoe.
Yeah, we're on the same page so far on both. Penske, who you got?
I got to go with the defending winner, Joey Lagana. I have to.
Ooh, okay. That's where we differ. I'm going to give you that one.
Okay, so we went halfway through this, and we're already different. Okay. So we're good.
Gibbs Racing, who you got?
Can we just omit Joe Gibbs? Because I don't think any of them gonna have a real good race. But I'm actually gonna go with the worst car right now, Christopher Bell.
You took mine. That's He's an open wheel guy, and I like that. He's a good pick. He's a solid pick for real.
Again, I mean, Hamlin won Richmond. I mean, that's one thing. And I mean, Kyle Busch, I mean, despite his bad luck, has had pretty good finishes so far in a few of these races. And I mean, Martin Truex Jr. has been absolutely, I don't know what he's doing right now, but he's doing something.
Yeah, bad luck.
I don't see the old men doing real well at Bristol. I think Christopher Bell, I think this is where he's going to really go, okay, I'm going to show you why I'm on this team. We're going to go to Bristol, and I'm going to qualify real well, and then I'm going to run up front, and let's just see what happens. But, I mean, could be completely wrong, but I think that's what's going to happen.
I got you. All right, so I'll start the same spot, Hendrick. I'm with you, Kyle Larson. This is his kind of race. He's a dirt tracker. It's what he does every day that he's not driving for Cup. So I'm going to go Kyle Larson. Stuart Haas, I don't know that any of them have a good day except Chase Briscoe. This is not Kevin Harvick's kind of race whatsoever. He hates it here. Same thing with Almirola. He's not a fan. And, Cole Custer might be the one that surprises us. He surprised the heck out of me at Martinsville, running as well as he did before the pit penalty. But I'll stick with Chase Briscoe. He's an open wheel guy too, a dirt tracker himself. And then I'm going to go, this is where we went different. I'm going Ryan Blaney.
Yeah.
I think
I can agree with that too.
I think if there's a driver that can beat Larson, I think it's Blaney. And Christopher Bell for Joe Gibbs Racing. And my reason, not because he's the young guy, not because of his experience, but he was the strongest Toyota for almost the entire race last weekend. He's had speed at a few tracks this year. They're getting there. But momentum. This will be a good momentum track for them. And I think he will compete for at least the top 5. I don't pick any Toyotas to win this race. No. This is not going to be a Toyota kind of race. But I'll say he's the best finisher. But I think Kyle Larson definitely is the hands-down favorite to win this race. I mean, this is what he does. He gets in a Legends car and runs the short tracks. Then the next day he's in a open wheel midget or whatever you call them, outlaw, running the dirt tracks around Nashville and Iowa, everywhere. It's what he does. His life is racing. Mm-hmm. So it definitely will pay off for him here.
I mean, if I'll just go ahead and throw this out there, if you plan on watching Bristol and you're picking winners, and Kyle Larson is not, let's just say, in your top 3 or top 5, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
It's just like you said. He lives for dirt racing. This is his bread and butter. This is the only dirt track we're going to this year. if there's any race he's gonna like really flex his muscle, this is going to be the one.
I feel it.
Yeah, I feel it too. I don't think I need to explain myself any further.
And that, back to repeat winners. This might open the floodgate for repeat winners now. It could be Larson this week. And then we get to Talladega and you go back to Bowman. Mm-hmm. Or Denny Hamlin, who is not so much Talladega, but he's been really good at Daytona. Talladega is anybody's race. And that is, I'm going for the weekend. We'll be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll come home Monday. We'll see the ARCA race Saturday morning. Xfinity race in the afternoon, Cup Series race on Sunday. I just want to see a couple wrecks that are, everybody's safely out of it, no problems, and a good finish.
Yeah.
I think that's a good Talladega race, but that's what you get at those places. You don't go in and say, I'm going to lead 140 of the 188 laps. No, you're not. I guarantee that you're not.
No, you're probably leading mainly 40 laps, and then you're getting shuffled to the back.
I don't think anybody cracks over 90 laps led in that race.
Probably not.
I think that's the magic number is 90. I don't think anybody gets above 90. You probably will see the most lead changes we've seen all year with the most different leaders. I mean, Daytona's one thing. We had a lot of passes. We had a lot of different leaders, but this race, you can run 4 wide comfortably. Mm-hmm. In the tri-oval, you can get 5.
Oh, yeah. You're going to see some crazy stuff at Talladega.
And I'll try and catch that motor when it flies at me from the car. With my face.
Make headlines.
Yeah. Headless reporter on pit road. Anyway, I think we did good things today. I had fun. Hope you guys had fun.
Absolutely.
I'm excited for the Bristol dirt race. It's going to be interesting, especially with this car, because we talked about the grill opening being smaller. How much trouble is this going to give them with keeping the cars cool? We're going to see, because Toyota's had the biggest problem so far this year keeping their car cool. So it's going to be interesting. And then the following week we have Talladega. So we got a good show. And then the following week, we don't have a show. So I am ready. The show after Talladega, we'll try and do it on Tuesday. There's no way I'll be back in time. We'll still be on the road. We'll play it by ear, though.
All right.
What else you got? You got anything by?
I don't have anything else. We covered everything that, leading up to Bristol Dirt. I'm telling you, if you don't have Kyle Larson in your top 5, you really need to put him in there. Replace him with someone else. I'm telling you, he's going to have a good race. I have a good feeling about it.
Yeah. It's hard not to pick him. He's just so good at that kind of racing.
But, yeah, other than that, I think we got everything covered.
I think so, too. And if we think of anything, we have Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We got everywhere we want to post it. I'm going to start hashtagging Crew Swap and see if we can get some predictions out for that Greg Ives, Alan Gustafson switch. Wouldn't it be cool to be the first ones to mention? And boom, there it is.
Happens.
I'm in totally.
I'd be down for that one.
It's going to be hard to convince them because the 48 already has a win this year. So I think the consensus is, why would you switch that? It's not like Alex Bowman finished bad this week. He finished 12th at Martinsville. It's not a good track for him. So anyway, we'll see, but it'd be cool to see.
Yeah.
Hope you guys have a great weekend. It's Monday. Have a good week, and we will see you guys back here next Monday.
Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making a place. We talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.